Alright, I thought I'd show you my setup here on my Ford Ranger. I have a 2022 Ford Ranger, and I recently put some power in the bed. This is my Life PO4 lithium. It's a 50 amp hour. It's not very big, but it's what I had. Connected it to this 20 amp DC to DC charger. This is the output to the battery here. You can kind of see there's a fuse right there. The positive goes to the fuse, and then the fuse goes up, the positive wire goes from the fuse back up to the battery here. This is the input from the engine. There's some some holes in the bed, kind of back by this little, you can kind of see it there, two little holes. I put the positive in one, the negative in the other, and then the D plus I kind of tied with the positive wire. Ran it up to the engine, fished it down. It's pretty easy. I just pushed it down to the bottom here, and then I took it up the bed here. There's a wire loom already pre-installed on the inside underneath. I'm not going to crawl down there because I'm old and I can't get up very good, but I snaked it up there and secured it with zip ties all the way up to the front of the engine. I'll pop the hood here. I'll show you the inside here. Ford Ranger has these auxiliary switches. You can see this one's on right here. That's what I tied the D plus to turn it on and off. This is my brake controller. I kind of like the Ford's electrical system, except the fact that they didn't put a brake controller in, but they did supply the wiring, and I just tied into the wiring underneath to this little cheap brake controller that I bought at O'Reilly's. But anyways, up here to the engine. Okay, guess we're still rolling. Anyways, you can see my wiring here. This comes up from the back. This is my 30 amp fuse. I have a 20 amp charger, so they recommended a 30 amp at least for the fuse. And this goes to my positive. I just tied it in there. The negative goes here. And basically that's it. I mean, I got a 6 gauge wire, and if you have a bigger DC to DC charger, like a 50 amp, you probably want to run a little heavier gauge, like maybe 2 gauge or so. Basically that's it. It's pretty easy installed. The engine here is really tight. There's not a lot of space. Like down here, there's a little gap. The reason I didn't put loom around this is because these wires here, I was going to try to put like loom around the negative and the positive and run them all up at once, but there's such a tight little gap that I had to get like a fishing pole and ram it down there to the bottom of the truck, and then when the wires were underneath the truck, I just put some electrical tape around them and then pulled them back up through the engine. That was the easiest way, I thought, just to get the wires up into the engine was the hardest part. And snaking them down wasn't too easy either. I had to get underneath and reach up and pull them down, and the gap wasn't that big, but it's definitely a tight gap for something like a 1/4 inch loom or 3/4 inch loom or a 1 inch loom. You couldn't really pull it through there, and I mean, you might be able to, but I didn't feel like messing with it. But this is like welding wire, and it's pretty sturdy. I don't think it'll be a problem. I don't think there's anything hot that it's going to be rubbing against or anything. So I got it pretty well zip tied all the way down, and seems like good quality wire, and it's not going to melt or anything. There's not really an exhaust on this side, so I think I'm good to go. It works good. I've tested it out, and anyways, I thought I'd share. Also, like, this is the D plus wire here. There's some wiring here by this is like a fuse box for the auxiliary switches, and there's different colored wires here that go to the different switches. I just did it on switch 1. It looked like the heaviest gauge, so I didn't really care, but I just put a waterproof wire nut on there, and then put a bunch of electrical tape around it. I might solder it or do something a little different later, but for now that holds pretty good. And when I switch it on the inside, that switches it on the D plus wire, and this is all copper wire, and this seems like pretty good quality wire too. I ran this up with the positive, so I just kind of did it all at once. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope it helps.